Hello, this is Jefferson from Giving is Good. Today we have the honor of having Darlene, and we also have Barbara, who run a special organization called the Clubhouse. It goes by theclubhouse.org and the Clubhouse. I think most people just know it as the Clubhouse, running all over Northeast Tarrant County, and they have young adults that come from all over DFW to come be a part of the programs that they offer. They typically have, it's for teens from ages 13 to 22-ish, you know, so they have special needs children that are coming in, and young adults to be a part of all the things that they're doing. Miss Darlene is going to tell us about the history of the Clubhouse and how it got started, how she founded it, why she founded it, kind of where it's headed, and then Barbara's going to fill us in. She's the executive director. She's going to tell us about the programs, about all the fun things they do, and I bet they probably tell us some kid stories or some young adult stories, and there's probably some funny stuff that happens. You know, anytime you get that many young adults in an area, there's always a funny story, and then they'll tell us a little bit about their vision, because I was recently on your website. I was looking at the vision. You've got some big plans coming. There's some fun stuff to talk about. So with that, let's turn it over to Darlene. Tell us about the Clubhouse. How did this come into existence? How did your heart start this one?
It wasn't my idea.
Okay.
Number one.
Okay.
I was self-employed for 14 years, worked out of my home, never had need for any child care. My son, Jonathan, he has Down syndrome. Okay. And he's an amazing young man now. He's 28. But at the time, he was 14. Mm-hmm. I lost my job and during the 9/11 issue. Yep. Ended up having cancer, 16-year survivor. Free? Cancer-free? Yeah, cancer-free, yes. Awesome. And so now I'm unemployed. I'm going to need to get a 9-to-5 job. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do with my son? Mm-hmm. So I was praying, and I said, Lord, I'm unemployed. These are the actual words. Lord, I'm unemployed. What do you want me to do? And immediately he touched my heart. This whole thing, I had no concept of this, okay? Mm-hmm. He touched my heart and said, well, what do other parents that have teenagers with young adults or young adults that are still in the school system for after school? Because that's what my need was going to be. Mm-hmm. And I could have said no to God's speaking to me, but I went ahead and did some research. There was nothing, all Northeast Tarrant County, with an after-school program for this age group. There's things for the little kids for after school, and there are programs for the adults, but there was nothing for this 13 to 22 anywhere. And then 2 years later, after he'd already started, I found out it was true for the entire state of Texas, that there was nothing. So we were the pioneers, to my knowledge, of this whole concept. And so that's technically how we started. But what is really cool is I sent out 50 letters to my friends, asking them to pray for wisdom. Okay. That is primary. The Lord is very precious to me. Mm-hmm. So I sent out these letters. Within 3 weeks, I got a response from MHMR of Tarrant County, which is a big entity for special people. Mm-hmm. And they called me. I did not send them a letter. But they called and said, I heard about this thing called the Clubhouse, and said, we're interested about it. We know it doesn't exist yet. Okay. So my heart was very encouraged at that point that I now have a big entity that if I need resources or help, I can call them or something. At that same 3 weeks, I had a friend, and I got to preface by saying I was on food stamps at the time. Okay, so I didn't have money. No income. Another phone call came in from Chicago. I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
And was an old high school person that I did not send her a letter. And I think that's important to recognize that this wasn't something I started. This is God opening the doors for us.
Absolutely.
And so she called, she said, my husband, and I'm quoting, my husband and I are selling one of our houses. Could you use $20,000 for startup? Well, there's my answer. Okay,
It's a
Lord.
pretty big door, Darlene.
Yeah. So it's amazing because this was not my idea at all.
Right.
And this is purely God starting his program, and he has since and continues to open the doors. I'm not saying, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do here at this time? But he's already opening the doors, and I just walk through them.
Wow.
So that's how we started. And one final thought in this realm is my son had come to me. He has limited speech. He already knows what I'm going to say. But he has limited speech. He's not very articulate. You have to really think hard to what he's trying to say.
Right.
More so back then. And he said, Mom, want friends. 3 weeks after we started the Clubhouse, he said perfectly, in perfect articulation, Mom, I have lots of friends.
Wow.
And so all of us, our eyes will, it's just an amazing opportunity that we created that didn't exist.
So what is the Clubhouse in its current form right now? Tell everybody about what the Clubhouse is as far as what's inside the Clubhouse. What's it like? Does that make sense?
Back then we were just an after school, and that was all we were then. But then our young people kept aging on us, and so we opened all day, Monday through Friday. And our age was up to 22, but they still kept aging, so we have some 30 and 40-year-olds. We don't open our program at this point to 40-year-olds and 30-year-olds because we have 13-year-olds.
Right.
Okay, so we limit on who comes in, but once you're in for life.
Gotcha.
If you want to be. And so that's our age group. What makes us unique from everybody else, I don't know if you want to go with this.
I was just going to say we're outside the box. That's what I wanted to say.
Our little phrase is, Darlene doesn't do anything like anybody else. We're outside of the box.
Good.
When you walk into our building, you're not going to see one huge room with nothing on the walls, which is typical of a day program, where it doesn't always appear that they're really doing anything. Mm-hmm. Ours is, you walk in the door and you're hit with color
Art on the walls.
Our hallways.
Stimulation, lots of stuff to look at
we have
and do.
people who say, the moment they walk in, this is amazing. Yeah. Or they'll walk in and say, how peaceful. But when they're walking in, there's a lot of noise coming down at the end of the hall where the young people are actually functioning.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's unique in its approach even. I firmly believe that our young people, our clubbers, are people, and they needed to be treated as people. So we have an unstructured environment.
Unstructured environment.
Unstructured, doesn't
Very
exist.
different from other programs.
Yeah.
Most programs, 9 o'clock you do this, 10 o'clock you do this,
Right,
11 you do this, so forth, all the way down the line. We don't have time constraints.
Okay.
Except one, and that's when we have lunch.
Okay.
All right.
It's fair.
So both programs, the structured and the unstructured, are both doing the same things, but we're doing it in a different way. So if Billy comes in that morning, he's supposed to have the goal of counting money. I don't feel like counting money right now. Well, that's okay, Billy, but we will work on it later today. So what time do you want to do that, or whatever the staff wants to say. So...
and he doesn't have to just count money. He can just play a Monopoly game. And
Gotcha.
he can be in charge of counting the money for the Monopoly game. So there's a lot of creativity that we do when it comes to that sort of
turning it into learning and going through
and
that
they don't
skill.
know that they're working on a goal.
Right,
Some of them, you know, it's a fun place. It's set up like a rec center. And so when they come in, it's fun. Early on, we had problems with parents. They couldn't get their kid to go home.
Because they were having too much fun.
Right.
More fun sometimes than there was at home.
Yeah,
and they get to think. And then
I'll let you choices.
Yes. MHMR of Tarrant County said to me 14 years ago, Miss Darlene, an unstructured environment will not work.
These guys have to have structure.
Yeah, and that's basically what they said.
Yeah.
And I said to her, the only reason that you believe they have to have structure is because that's what we've only offered them.
Yeah.
And we're 14 years down the road and we're still unstructured, so it's working. These kids come in, we trust them, we give them the opportunity to choose what they want to do. Think
Be
for
creative.
themselves. Right. Be creative.
They're creative on their own.
And unstructured doesn't mean that they're not, that they don't have goals.
Right.
Okay, so MHMR and other agencies will give us specific goals. Parents will give us specific things that these young people need to work on, such as maybe folding clothes. So we have a room that is set up to where we have some chest of drawers that were donated and a bed that was donated, and
Life
we
skills.
pull all that stuff out and throw it on a table and say, okay, let's fold clothes. And we'll fold the clothes and we'll make the bed. But we don't have a set time to do that. Now, maybe Billy is supposed to fold clothes, and maybe Susan and Tommy and Jason don't have to do that. But you know what? Throw them in, because there's no reason for them to not learn that as well, so that Billy doesn't feel like he's being singled out. So everybody's learning. You know, one of the really exciting things that we do with the programs is that not only are we integrating with our young people and we're working with their different goals, but we're also working within the community.
Yeah.
So the thing that I really enjoy, like recently we just had some interns. We have interns from Parker University and Denton, and I mean just so many different occupational therapy groups within the Tarrant County that come and they send us their interns, and then they will work with our young people. We had a really exciting example this week where a lady, well, the three ladies, they decided to do a tea party. I had never thought about doing a tea party. So we have this one young man who's very quiet, and he wants to be by himself, and he likes to play his Wii all by himself, and he does that. And he was going around and saying, would you like some tea, please? Would you like some tea,
He
please?
liked the concept of serving the tea.
He was
but
serving.
he didn't do a lot of talking in our program.
He didn't do a lot of talking.
Stress that.
Then later today, even, one of our staff was out of town. He walked up to her, no prompting, said, how are you? How was your trip? She was like, I didn't tell him I was going on a trip.
Wow.
And so we can see a progress. We see them progressing, and we're constantly changing and trying to find new ways. Because if you do the same thing all the time, then they're just going to get kind of in a row, which is why it's unstructured. But if you have staff and you have, we had Fort Worth Christian who came. It was like 20 teenagers who came and just hung out with our young people. Because if you are special needs, what you want more than anything is to be treated like a typical kid.
And to be around other people and have
kids.
normal
And have
interaction.
a normal interaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we bring those young people. It gives them an opportunity for service. It gives our young people an opportunity to interact with typical guys.
Right.
And what you find is everybody is brought up. Everybody is helped by that program. And it's exciting. It's exciting.
Let me share about the teenager from, we utilize IB students who need community service points.
Okay.
And we have several that come all the time from the schools. And this one teenager came in, it was his first time, and he crossed his arms and he goes, I'm here for the points, nothing else, and I don't like special kids.
Wow.
I mean, how blunt can you get, right?
Hey, he was honest.
He was very honest. So
You can deal with that.
So I gave him a sheet that has guidelines of the things that they should or shouldn't do while they're down there with the young people. When the day was over, he came back into my office, arms wide open. He goes, Miss Darlene, and I quote.
I know. I'm really excited.
Okay, he says, tell them.
He says, they're just like me.
They're just like me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's just
his
exciting.
life has changed.
You changed his life. That's right.
Our purpose isn't necessarily to change the lives of the community and the other kids, but we do impact not just our kids, not just our families, but we impact your typical people out there that come in. And there's nothing better to watch is when guests come in to take a tour or something, to our kids to go up to them and give them a hug. I mean, what does that do?
Just breaks their heart, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. They have that concept of love.
Yeah, and everybody needs a hug.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a hug, not a
powerful.
5-minute hug.
They're always, I know.
We have a 3-minute rule.
Yeah, 3-minute rule. But, they're very accepting and very loving and very forgiving.
Yeah.
1 minute, they might be a little upset, but then, they've totally forgotten it.
Right.
And I think that having that acceptance is very good, especially for teenagers.
Sure.
To have someone just completely accept you 100%, no judging, nothing. And having that acceptance is wonderful. And that's what our guys do. I mean, they just accept you for who you are. Hey, I love you. You're my best friend.
Let's go play something. Let's go do something. Let's talk.
And I think that, but then having them the other direction as well, one of the things that we have is we have a young man. Most of our guys are what you call mild to moderate.
Okay.
And so, which means that they can pretty much handle all their own bathroom needs. They can mostly talk pretty clear. They can, they can count. They can read a little bit, that kind of thing. So they're pretty easygoing. They just can't be left at home alone.
Gotcha.
Right?
They can communicate.
They can communicate, most of them.
In some way. Some may not be articulate.
So we have one always that is what you call severe profound. We have one young man who's in a wheelchair. He really has to use his machine to try to talk.
Okay.
He doesn't talk at all really, and he has to have diapering. We don't do diapering in our program, so he's here for just a few hours. Mom drops him off for a few hours.
To socialize and to interact.
Now what you see
to his level.
Now this is all Miss Darlene's idea.
Yeah.
Is that if you're in an environment where it's always the same kinds of people, then you're never going to grow.
Yeah.
Hence, we bring in the high school students to our guys. They're higher functioning. They role model our guys up. Hey, they can do that. I can do that. I want to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Same thing with our young man. He's around our guys, and his mom came to us and talked about how at home he would just go to his room. He didn't want to interact with the family. Now he comes out in his chair, and when he comes out and is with you in a room, he's interacting with you. He may not say anything, but he's interacting because he's watching and he's paying attention. And she was just in tears because he was wanting to be with the family.
Really?
And wherever he loves Bible study. We have Bible study.
But let me just interact because at the clubhouse, the young people have freedom to go from any room they want.
Yes.
Anytime they want.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and that's why it was so amazing when Mom was sharing this in her home. He would just go to his room, and that's where he was.
And he'd just stay there.
And the influence of having that freedom at the clubhouse,
Just
he
going from
carried
room to
it
room.
over in the home setting and was where the parents were.
And what helps him is that, he has friends, and they're like, hey, how are you doing? And they're talking to him, and they're picking at him, and they're playing ball, and
being
he's
normal.
watching, and they're treating him and talking to him like he's not in the wheelchair and that he can't talk. And so he's smiling and he's interacting. I caught him one day. I wish I caught it on film. He was dancing. They left the music on.
He's in a wheelchair.
In a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And he is turning his chair to the music. And I can tell. And he's smiling and he's doing this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's dancing.
He was having a
dancing.
joyful
now, as soon as somebody
moment
came in,
and
he
having fun.
stopped.
Wow.
But he was dancing. And
What do you think holds him back?
Exciting. I don't know.
But he's growing. He's growing, right?
Totally growing.
Yeah, but he's growing at his level and at his speed.
Yeah.
So when he first came, he was pretty much
raise his chair, lean back, take a nap. That was kind of what he would do. And now he's playing ball. He wants and he can't move his hands. But if you pick a ball, he can kind of push it. Or we were doing balloons, and I was putting the balloons in his hand, and he would push it away, or he'd throw the thing on the floor and make me pick it up. So he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's having fun.
Yeah, he's interacting.
And he's interacting.
Right.
And that's what we want.
That's a success story. I mean, you're taking a child out of his home, out of his element. Yeah. You're bringing him in with a bunch of other, teen,
yeah.
bringing him in and hanging out with a bunch of other teens, and they're starting to mess with him
Yeah.
and have fun and build relationships, and he starts to grow in his personality, and that pushes brain functioning,
Yes.
which opens up brain conduits, from what I understand. Is that a simple way to say that?
Yeah. It's awesome to see them interacting with each other and just calling his name and calling him to come in.
He walks in the door and everybody goes, Michael's here.
Oh, yeah. And then what was awesome is that he would stop at her door because when they have
Oh, he
to
never
drive
used
past-
to though.
Right.
He would drive right past my office. Never
she'd say
turn his
hi,
head
and he'd
down,
just keep going.
and he would totally ignore that I'm in my office. And now he'll come by and he'll stop.
And he
grin,
turns
and he grins,
and looks,
and then he
and
continues
keeps going.
on.
Yeah.
He's letting you know.
So he's interacting, and what's really funny is because he watches. Now we don't have but one profound kid in our program.
Right.
That's to get him out of that so he can be stretched. But one day he watches the other kids, and people do bumps, etc. Right?
Right. Yeah,
So
he did
I
that.
can share this. All right. So I asked him, would you like to give me a bump? And now he has to get it from his head down to his hand.
Yep.
So I put my hand out there so he's kind of in reach. And then I waited. And then I waited. I'm not kidding. I probably waited a good 4 minutes for him to respond. And then all of a sudden I saw his hand move. I go, oh. It got from his head down to his hand, and that was exciting. And then he curled his fingers, and he brought his hand up to mine and touched.
But it took him a while.
Yeah.
Yes, because of his, I guess you call it, severity of disability, he's quite slow in that respect. But I gave him time
Yeah.
to respond to a bump. And I don't know, maybe someday he will actually talk
Yeah, we hope so.
to us, because he's totally nonverbal.
Yeah.
That's amazing, and probably at home because they are so used to him and they're so used to caring for him. They may not sit there for 4 or 5 minutes
don't
and
have
realize
time.
that that's possible, right?
Sure. Well,
That
you
was
don't
kind of
have
an
time.
experiment.
The other staff don't have time necessarily to wait for him to respond for 5 minutes or something.
Wow.
So it's just a matter of taking that
extra time and just being patient. And I think the other thing that we do that we're not just in our building. That's the other thing we do is we partner with like Meals on Wheels. We take them out into the community and we deliver food for the elderly.
Okay.
In fact, they just delivered yesterday food, and they go to the homes and to these little bungalows, and they have these little what they call staple goods, which is just like canned goods and things like that. And they knock on the door, and we have one young man who also doesn't talk very much. He's really grown up a lot, and he just kind of says little things like this. But, and he answers the door now, and he says hello, but he loves to go and knock on the door. He'll say it.
That's his thing.
And he loves to hand that food, and then he's all shy, and he goes back, I did it, but he's happy. And then we have another young lady who's, I guess it's all my guys who are kind of shy that like doing the Meals on Wheels. It's kind of odd because of another young lady, if you say, hey, and she'll just talk about birthdays all day long, birthday, happy birthday all day long. And then you'll say, hey, why don't you come over? No. And she'll run and hide. But boy, are we going to Meals on Wheels, Miss Barbara? When are we going to Meals on Wheels? Are we going to do deliveries tomorrow? What are we doing? We get to tell my dad, okay? We're going to do, and she's right there. And I have to wait until she gets there so we can do it because she wants to do that. But outside of that, she's not really wanting, you're having to drag her to do extra things. So we have a lot of different programs that get them involved in the community.
What was that nursing home that you went to where you
we were
played
playing
chair volleyball?
Oh, we were playing chair volleyball.
That's a win-win. That seniors love us coming.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Because they get a lot of attention and they're lonely.
Yeah.
And our young people
And y'all bringing in a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Kids are having
And
fun.
it's fun.
They're happy.
They're sitting there playing ball, and there was some competition. You got the elderly on one side, you got our guys, and they're all intermingled. It's not all just elderly and our guys; it's all intermingled.
Yeah.
And you could see some competition happening, right? And we're like, "Whoa, look at this! This is pretty exciting." But we also would go and do, I think it's Need. We would do bags for them, and we'd take them in and we'd flatten bags so that they could give those food bags to the community. So you have community people who need food, but people drop off like grocery bags, and those grocery bags are just in a big lump, and it takes a lot of time to unfold it. So we would sit, and our guys who are autistic, who like that structure, you say, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to lay it out, you're going to straighten it out, and you're going to put it over here. And man, they would, and it was kind of a job that you and I might find to be very monotonous, but for that young person who was doing it, it was just very meticulous, making sure it was perfect and putting it, and they were fulfilled by that behavior, by that activity.
It's like therapy.
Yeah.
Right? Because their brain loves that.
Yeah. And so they were able to do that very easily. And, and so different kids are doing different, and some of the higher functional ones, we have them up front. They're making copies on the copying machine. I've got one who can answer the phone occasionally. So we really have a wide range of different guys, and they help each other out. We've got them wiping tables and taking out trash, and so we want them to be functional, because mom and dad aren't going to live ever. Yeah. They may end up in a group home. They may have to live with brother and sister. They may have to live with aunts and uncles and stuff like that. So they need to be able to feel functional and to feel like they're contributing to the family. So that they can feed the puppy, or they can take the dishes out of the dishwasher and put them away, or wash dishes, or wash a set of clothes. We have a washer and dryer. So there are all kinds of different things that we do. We have a garden in the back, which we're still working on trying to get some volunteers, because that's what we need, are volunteers to help us with our young people. We can only do so much. We're nonprofit. So we need that community support and people coming in. And we have that to some degree, but we always need more people to come and volunteer.
What kind of volunteers do you need? That's a good place to talk about that.
Oh my
What's a good, when you think about people that can come in and help and that can work with these young adults, give everybody an idea.
You're opening up a can of worms here, right?
That's okay, because you've got people that are going to watch this that are going to go, okay, how
can I volunteer?
How can I get involved? That's right. What could I do?
Well, everybody has different skills. So we have artists who've come in and done art projects with our guys.
Like Sergio.
Some and volunteered. We have gardeners who've come in. We have people who just want to just hang with them and be with them. We have
play a game of Uno.
Just play a game of Uno. Or we have individuals who love to organize, but maybe they don't want to be around the special needs kids, so they come in and they organize things for us.
Sure.
We need chaperones when we go on field trips. Okay. And we do background checks.
Sure.
So we check.
Got to have a vetting process.
Yes. So we have background checks. But there's so many different avenues that people can volunteer. We've had groups. We had the church group come in, and they renovated our kitchen so that our staff didn't have a break room. And they took this old kitchen and gutted it and put in a couch and put in a table and put in a sink. And now they have a break room where they can kind of get a place to relax.
Yeah.
So there's a huge range of volunteerism that can be done. If you're a gardener, we have lots of gardening work that can be done. If you like to hang and play videos, we had a lady who was a teacher. Well, we have several teachers who come and work with us, but we had one lady who would come. She was really into geography. Okay. And we had one young man who was always fascinated by all these countries. He was always talking about Russia and China, and he was going to visit all these places, and she would come in and sit with him, and they would talk about these places, and she'd bring maps, and they'd sit there and pore over these maps. Everybody has a different talent.
Sure.
And what I would like to see is people bring me your talent. We had a lady who was sewing. She had them make a quilt. They all made a quilt together. Okay, so it really is just, you bring your talent, we're going to find a way to make it useful.
You will use it for good. You will find a way to integrate people's things that they can do with these young adults and these teens and help them learn new things. That is awesome.
Because that's all they want to do. They want to learn. They want to be valuable.
They want to do stuff and keep learning, and they're sponges.
Oh, the Smart Meal Team, what did they do? They brought in they do an ice cream day for us.
Yeah, they
in the
parties.
Ice cream parlor, and so it's just whatever. Some groups come in and they decorate for a particular holiday.
Sure.
Some people just bring us lots of supplies like
Art
toiletry
supplies.
and art supplies
And
snacks. Those are our biggest needs right there. Our toiletries, art supplies, and snacks.
Things that keep everything running,
No
right?
sugar.
No sugar. Yeah,
For the snacks.
maybe a little bit of sugar, but not too much. Yeah.
Not, no sugar or not too much sugar, Mr.
Probably, we'll take it.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep the frosting not this high, but
Right,
that high.
right. Just enough.
Just enough.
Just enough for the flavor, right?
Otherwise, we'll send them home with you.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. So, Miss Darlene, where is the clubhouse headed?
Oh yeah.
So,
Where are we headed?
what does the future look like?
If you can read the T-shirts.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Rise to the challenge.
Yes.
Yes. Where's this rice?
And somebody said the other day, why don't you put a D in parentheses at the end so you can rise for the challenge of our expansion program, or you can rise to the challenged,
Okay,
Right.
which is what our young people are all about.
gotcha.
Okay, so that was just something
It's
to
kind of
throw out
play on
there.
words, yeah.
But we're in the process of purchasing 2.852 acres of land
Okay,
to build from the ground up 21,000 square foot, give or take, a square foot building with a full gymnasium with bleachers.
wow.
With hopefully there'll be sufficient funds coming in that we can even have a running track around the top.
Okay,
Okay, so that's what we're in the midst right now, is raising only $5 million.
That's it.
You know,
That's a little bit of
but
money.
like somebody said, God is enough. So we still need to do our part to
Sure.
help make that happen. But I firmly believe that God can do it without our help if He wants to.
Sure can.
And I have to. Did I share about the? No, I think it was pre-time about the buying the building that we're currently in. We had 12 kids in our program.
Okay.
We reached capacity for that building.
right.
Somebody suggested that we look at this other building that was 7,000 square foot versus the one we were in that was 1,000 something.
Right.
Okay. So I laughed because we are a nonprofit. We function month to month. Way
Yeah,
back then,
yeah.
we did that for sure.
Not an extra
I
$1
didn't
million.
know where the next dollar was to do stuff.
Right.
I was on my knees a lot, praying for God's provision for back then more so, well, as we said, more. Anyway, so we're 12 kids. I went to the board and I said, do you want to look at it? And they laughed like I did. And because we didn't have money to even look. It was kind of foolish on our part to look because we had no money.
Right.
So we went and looked at this building, and the whole board almost unanimously said, this is ours.
Yeah, it's a perfect building.
They declared it.
We had the confidence.
Yeah.
It wasn't unison, but it was pretty close to unison at that moment. It was unified at that moment, but it wasn't like everybody at once said, this is ours. But at that moment, everybody was saying, yeah, this is ours. Okay, so we decided we're not going to do a capital campaign, but we needed $100,000 to put down to purchase it. And what we did, no capital campaign, we just word of mouth shared with people that we needed $100,000. And in 2.5 months, we raised $100,000.
Wow.
Remember, it was 12 kids, their families, and a board of 6.
Wow.
And our friends.
Are you telling me God will provide?
Just a little bit.
God provides. It's amazing because back when we started, to be honest, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm just a mom. That was it. Okay, a single mom with a teenager, and that has Downs. And we were 1 month old, and there was this school in Colleyville that needed a school project for the year.
Oh, that's right.
And so I said, sure. Well, they came in and painted our walls. It wasn't my idea to have all these murals on the wall.
Yeah.
This is God providing this concept of brightness and whatever.
Color and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so every room had a theme. Ms. Pac-Man. The kitchen area was Wonder Bread with
Wow.
these circles. And these 8th grade gifted and talented class
Yeah.
did this project they got us on television, they got us on the radio, they got us in the newspaper, because this was their project.
They were bringing awareness to y'all.
And that
That just hugely.
was growing us
Yeah.
from all of that. At the end of the school year, they competed against other gifted, talented classes in Texas. And they took second place in their category from all the things that they did. And then that allowed them to go to the international competition and competed against 11 foreign countries, so we're known in foreign countries, and 33 U.S. states.
Okay.
And they took second place in their category.
So for the project that they were doing for the clubhouse, that was
It's
helping.
benefited them.
Yeah, it was benefiting them because they were doing it as a school project, but
Right.
then it was greatly benefiting y'all because it was bringing awareness.
And that's the thing
Wow,
that
that's
I love
awesome.
about the clubhouse is that the clubhouse is a community. It benefits Bedford. It benefits Fort Worth. It
Yeah.
benefits Tarrant County.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are always looking for places where they can volunteer, where they need, and so it's a beautiful thing that we're integrated. We're vital to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Vital, and that's one thing that I think a lot of people think. Oh, it's just about the young people. It's just about the clubbers. It's just about people with special needs. But it's not. It's about the whole community.
Yeah.
And we're really, really aware of that. And I think a lot of that has to do with the things that Darlene has done, because she has been out and talking and being involved in the community through the chamber and through other groups. So I think that's really helped us a lot.
Plus, you're providing a safe
Yes.
place for special needs.
And that's out of the box.
What
Yeah.
what is your mission statement, ma'am?
I don't know. What is my mission statement? To provide a safe and fun place for teens and young adults who have intellectual and physical challenges, an opportunity for education, socialization, and independence in a rec center atmosphere.
Wow.
That is our mission statement.
Yeah.
And you are living it.
Yes, and our motto is socialization, not vegetation.
That's brilliant.
Why sit home after school by yourself?
Yeah.
Maybe grandma's there making cookies, but you're by yourself.
Yeah. Come here and
playing
hang out.
Video game.
Yeah.
Well, why not come to the clubhouse,
play video
play your
games.
video game, but you're playing with another person.
Sure.
You know, so you've got this interaction, and interaction is so important.
And it helps the
Absolutely.
families too.
It's important for everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, if you're a mom and you're working, where are you going to put your special needs young person after school or during the day if they're already graduated? We provide that space for them. So we're supporting the young people, but we're supporting their families.
Wow.
We're supporting the community. I mean, I think that a lot of, I don't know, I really love that about us, you know, and I like the clubhouse.
I think your passion shows through. You know what I'm saying? The love.
We're not passionate at all.
Yeah, the love that you have for these young people, the passion that you are serving them with, because that's really what you're doing for them. You're training and teaching, but you're serving them. You know, that's a servant's heart at its core, right? You don't get much more of a vision of servanthood than what y'all are doing, right?
Okay. It's kind of what people say, but
Yeah.
I just do it because I want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't think of it as a service.
Right, that's because that's who you
I
are.
know, that's who we are.
Absolutely. That's what you're doing. That's where God has you at this point in life, and those are the people that He has put you in charge to shepherd and help and touch and be a part of. It's awesome. You know? The needs. What your need for your vision that is coming. Tell us a little bit about what that need looks like. It's one thing to say, I need 5 million. Sometimes you set a short-term goal of, during this year, we want to raise 1 million. We have these types of drives. Just give us some examples. That way that can be put out there.
Yeah, I believe in goals.
Okay?
And when I create a goal,
Let's put the goal out there.
it's going to be a big goal.
Fine.
I'm not going to shoot for the moon. I'm going to shoot for the other galaxy. And if I make it to the moon, it's amazing.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
And
If you only made it to the moon, it'll be all right.
Right.
it'll be all right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I have short-term goals. And coming up April 18th is our dinner silent auction.
Yeah.
And so we have tickets. You can go online to our website, and you could buy tickets for the dinner, etc. So my goal is we need $475,000 so that we would have the land that we're in the process of purchasing will be paid off.
Okay.
That's April 18th. What, Darlene, what are you saying? But at the same time, we have to look back at how God has so blessed us amazingly that 12 kids and their families and our board and the community didn't know us back then raised $100,000 in 2.5 months. So that's when nobody knew us.
That's right.
Right now, this day, our email is 4,000 people.
Okay.
Okay, so there's plenty of people out there to reach that goal.
Yep.
God doesn't do things the way that we want.
That's right.
So he could, it can't fall from the sky, but it could. But that's my personal goal,
Okay.
is to have
Pay
that
off the land.
Huge,
Pay off the
yes,
land.
pay
So we
off
can
the
just
land.
start-
Something simple.
Yes, and
Pay
then
off the land.
that's paid off.
Yep.
Then we go to the next level, $1 million within the year, or whatever it takes to get
the
the
construction started.
yes,
Well,
exactly.
we have to, yeah. So
But
I
God
just
is
want
our
a
provider.
pond. That's all I really want.
Yeah.
being
She wants
across
a pond.
The pond guys. I just want a really big pond for them to just.
And I want a gymnasium.
wander
Go
around,
fishing and do things.
play,
Yeah.
feed some koi, something.
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely.
We're,
We're dreaming, right?
simple.
Well, it's funny, but it could be a couple of years from now. We look back on this interview and we go, remember when?
Yeah.
And we
And
raise
you're
that.
and it's on video and you're telling the story and you look back and you go, and then people also could drive by that building at some point and go, man, I saw that on an interview,
Yeah.
years ago, and that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
and
does.
that's what
It
changes
just
people's
takes
thought
the
process.
Right people see.
That's right.
So one person could do 475,000.
Absolutely.
In fact, we have a group that works and buddies with millionaires.
Uh-huh.
So somehow that could be God's way, but remember, God doesn't do things the way that we think
Sure.
it should be done.
Sure.
But one millionaire could put up $1 million.
Yep.
Because he's a multimillionaire, most likely.
Yeah.
But
He's got more than one
you know,
million.
Yeah.
it's just getting the world out there aware of us. Here's our T-shirt, Rise to the Challenge, and see those funds come in, and again astound the community. Not for our glory, because it's nothing to do with us, because we didn't raise $100,000.
No.
Because we were
God's-
12 people.
God
This
is
is
100%
God,
behind it.
God doing it.
That's right.
And I firmly believe that God will provide. We have a couple people that might get a little nervous about $5 million. I'm not.
Hey, you got a vision. You've got to put it out there. You have to get it into existence. And if you don't put it out there, then it's got to come out of your head. It's got to make it onto paper. On your website, you have the
Yes.
drawings. You've got to make that real at some point in time if you
Right.
want that to come to existence. Right? It can't just be closeted. It can't be inside you and not make its way out.
No.
How exciting.
April 18th is our dinner, silent auction. We're looking for people to sponsor. I think the highest sponsor is $5,000,
Okay.
and the lowest is $250. But then we also need auction items
Okay?
to present. Anybody out there that knows some celebrities or sports people,
Hey.
we'd love to have that come and share with us at our dinner.
Yeah?
No.
And our summer program is coming up.
Yes.
And so that's have a ball with the clubhouse. Have
Okay.
a ball at the clubhouse. And
Okay.
so things that we need for that would be art supplies. We want to have a masquerade ball at the end of the summer. And
How fun.
so we're going to need help
Well,
with
tell
that.
them what Daniel might be doing.
Oh, Daniel. Daniel is another volunteer. He is a professional choreographer, dancer. He's worked in New York. He's worked all over
Wow.
the United States. He's amazing. So he's going to come in and teach them ballroom dancing so that they
How fun.
can wear their masquerade ball
Yeah.
dresses and gowns. And
What a neat
It's
experience.
going to be fun.
And so it's going to be a lot of fun.
That'll be a lot of
Any
fun.
volunteers want to help with that? That's always good too.
So, people to help with any and everything, bring your skills. You may think that your skills don't matter or your skills don't mean anything, but they're saying, look, if you can do something and you want to come be with these young adults and help them do things and be a part of that energy and have fun and teach them how to do a quilt or teach them how to fold clothes. I mean,
Teach them to dance.
Teach them to dance. I mean, sounds like you could literally do anything,
Yeah,
to help them figure out,
Yeah,
right?
we had a gentleman that came who has small airplanes that actually fly.
Yeah.
And
The RC
he
ones.
came to share his hobby, and he was flying. We have big rooms, and he was flying them in this big room at the clubhouse, and our kids were like, "Wow!" Really cool.
That's
So
fun.
even a man that has airplanes,
Yeah.
awesome.
Trains, planes, all of that. It's pretty
Anything,
exciting.
right?
It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
We are thankful that you are out there working with those young adults and doing what you're doing, and that you're bringing them joy in a safe environment, and that you are letting them experience this and bringing those experiences to them. And I'm very appreciative of your vision and what you are trying to do, and that you are walking in faith and you are believing in faith, and that your ministry, your calling, this is, to me, sounds like a ministry, right?
It is a ministry.
It's
We
a
can't
ministry.
Call it that
Right.
because of government funding.
Yeah.
But the government knows that we have crosses and Bible
Sure,
verses
sure.
on the wall. They can
Yeah,
come in
yeah.
and say, take those away. But the
They can't
state-
change your heart.
No, and
They can't change our heart at all.
no, they can't. But they're not going to take it away because they love our program.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And you're impacting young adults that
Otherwise, they'd be home.
But it is a ministry.
absolutely.
They'd be home. They'd be isolated.
Yeah.
And
And you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And
14
and you've got a great track record. The people that know about the Clubhouse, they talk. You hear people say just incredible things about what you guys do. 'Cause they must know, how happy the people are that come in and out of there, and the clubbers, as y'all
Clubbers,
call
yeah.
them, right? So thank you so much for coming to be
Thank
with us.
you so much for letting us come.
We're happy you guys are here and sharing with us what y'all are doing and why you do it. It's a big part of that community in your area. I've heard other nonprofits and people talk about it. So, that's a little bit where my invitation to y'all came from, because I heard about y'all,
Probably from Sergio.
Well, and others, like 2 or 3 times, they're like, oh, you need to get the Clubhouse over here. You got to find them. And I was like, well, so I never really had that connection.
Right.
Wow,
And,
that's cool.
so they're what you're doing matters, and I know you know that, but sometimes hearing it from people who, I don't have family with special needs, but I have people that work with us with family with special needs.
Yes.
And what you guys do makes such a big difference, right? So thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you.
Awesome.
And
Thank
we
you.
look forward to hearing about the future. All right?
And us come back on and interview us on our new building that's
I would.
up and
That's
running.
what I want to do.
That would
And we're going to add that interview one day, and we're going to be, just that type of, that story
Would you
is
be
what people
praying
need
for
to hear.
wisdom for us
We can do it?
on this whole expansion?
Yep.
And
God will just send us all the right people, with the right heart.
yeah, exactly.
And he will.
And he does.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.